Hi, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Makeup Education and You. So, today I wanted to talk about eyebrows. I kind of wanted to start with eyebrows because I get asked about it probably more than any other thing ever. And there's a lot of theories on how you should do your eyebrows. There's a ton of products that you can use to do your eyebrows. I'm going to show you a couple ways that I do eyebrows and then also give you some of my tips. Feel free to take what you want and leave the rest. If you like to do something different or you found a product that really works for you, please share it. I would love to hear it. I'm going to start with talking about before we even put makeup on, having our brows where we want them. You don't have to wax, you don't have to tweeze. All of those things are totally up to you. For me personally, I like to have my brows kind of in the shape that I want them already before I go and put makeup on them. But some people want to avoid these hair removal things completely, and that's up to them. If you are going to get waxed, I do suggest finding a waxer that you like that will listen to what you want rather than just kind of blindly going and doing what they normally do and kind of and not really talking to you about what you want, because that's how mistakes get made in my experience. For those of you who don't know, I worked as a professional waxer for a couple years, and I had to do a lot of changing direction in how clothes were shaped, because people had gone to a place where they didn't ask questions, or something happened and they didn't get the brow results that they wanted. So you don't have to do all of that hair removal if you don't want to. I just want to make that clear that that's your choice. But for me, I prefer to do it. If you are going to tweeze your own eyebrows or wax your own eyebrows, please be careful. One, you can get hurt by doing it. Because you can damage your skin, and we definitely don't want that. If you are going to tweeze, I always say just tweeze the hairs that are obviously outside of where you want them, like way down here, way out to the side, way in the middle. Anything that's definitely not where you're going to want your brows. I mean, unless you do want brow hairs there, just tweeze and or shape there. Try not to get really technical into it because it's really easy. Like, honestly, so many times as a waxer, I would remove one hair, it would change the entire shape of the eyebrow, and I'm not exaggerating at all. I do use, if you are going to tweeze, again, like I said, please be mindful when you do. I really suggest Tweezer Man tweezers, the slanted tip. They have a lifetime, when you buy them, they have a lifetime sharpening thing where you can send them in and you can get them sharpened. However, they do get thinner and thinner over that sharpening time, but they stay sharp for a really long time. They're really good. It's really easy to be like, well, why would I not just get like a cheap pair of tweezers? Well, try picking at the same hair 500 times, and that will tell you why you should not get a cheap pair of tweezers. These will just get the job done faster, and also, they just stay sharp for a really long time. So I really, really like Tweezer Man products in general. So now that we've talked about you shaping your brows in the way that you want, with just hair removal, let's talk about products. So there are a ton of products out there, but I'm going to kind of put it in three categories. So there's brow powders. I don't have my trusty powders here, but I do use this Naked Basics palette quite frequently for brow powder, because it has a lot of shades of very neutral browns that I can use for brow powders. Pencils. So here is one of the pencils that I use. This is the NYX Micro Brow. It is amazing. It is an exact dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I just checked the price. So at Walmart, the NYX Micro Brow, and be careful because like NYX has probably like 80 brow products. So just be warned. This is the micro brow pencil. So and it comes in the same number of shades as the Anastasia Brow is. So on with Walmart.com, this is $8.50. At Ulta, the Anastasia Brow is $25, and they come in the exact same colors. So um, this is one of my go-tos. I always have a couple in my kit. And then the other product is a pomade, and I had one pomade that I hated, and I think I have already tossed it. So I don't have anything to show you, but some people do like pomades. For me, they've just never really been what I like to do when I fill in eyebrows. So those are like the three main options for brows that I'm going to show you. So first, I'm going to do one with the pencil because I think that the pencil for me is my go-to, and then in the other eyebrow, I will show you what I would do with the powder. So, other tools that you might want, if your product doesn't come with a spoolie end like this little thing right here, it looks like a mascara wand. Also, there are brushes. This is a slanted liner brush or slanted brow brush, depending on who's selling it and how. And it comes with a spoolie end. A lot of them come with it because they know how you're going to use it, but you can buy them individually. And when I'm working on a client, this is how I would use it to keep it sanitary. So I am going to show you what I would do with the pencil and kind of the theory of shaping brows that I was taught. Now, this is not like the Bible truth, but it's an easy way to start kind of getting a feel for how you want your brows to be shaped. And then you can kind of wiggle it to be, however you want. So first I'm going to take my brow pencil, and when you choose the brow color, just as a note, I slightly bleach my brows and they are grown out a little bit. So the color you see is not my actual brow color. It's like a mixture of that and bleached out kind of yellows. So don't judge me right now. But when you get the color, it's really easy to say, well, my hair color is this, so I'm going to get the exact same brow color. That's not generally what you want to do, because it kind of it usually is very intense on your face once you use the same color. And what I like to think about when I think about the color that you choose is that you're not actually choosing the hair color that you are filling in. You are choosing the shadow of the hair color. So whatever color of the shadow would be that the hair would cast, that's the color you choose. So this is the color ash brown. My hair is very dark naturally. I have a mirror over here, so if you see me looking over here, that's what's going on. So I was taught to shape eyebrows is if you want an angular brow, what you're going to do is you're going to start a line on the bottom of the brow that goes all the way up to the bottom of the arch. And the arch is the highest point of the brow. So if you want that nice angled brow, no matter how sharp or how high you want it angled, that's going to be kind of your marker. So you're going to see where the highest point of your brow is, and you're going to go directly below it where you still have hair. And then, so you're going to create a line that goes straight there. So you start a little bit further back, because if you start right at the beginning of your brow, it looks really, really harsh. So we're going to blend it later, but right now we're just going to give it a little bit of space. And then just right up to the bottom. And I've also shaved my brows fairly recently. They're growing back in, but the hair is there. It's just hard to see. So after you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to create an identical line that's going to be parallel to that on the top of the brow. Again, you're not going to go all the way in, you're going to go slightly back. And you're not going to need a ton of product to do this. Usually, you don't need to like dig into your face, but it also depends on what type of product you're using. So now from this point, you're going to take your pencil or whatever product you're using, and you're going to go from the bottom of the arch and take a line that goes straight to the end of your brow, just like that. And you can always go longer later if you're like, I didn't go quite long enough, but usually start a little bit shorter because you'll find that, depending on your own brow hairs, but it can look a little bit crazy if you end up going too long, in my professional experience. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go from the top of the arch, and we're going to go and create a line straight down to the end of the brow, just like that. So now I'm going to gently fill in the brow in the shape that I've already created. Now, if you have any patches of, so sweaty, sorry, I walked a lot today. If you have any patches of area that have no hair, like for me, this not having any, like much or any hair, you might want to use a darker pencil or powder just in that area. And sometimes it can literally just mean you take that darker color and you just apply the tiniest bit, and it makes a huge difference. And it's going to make that part that doesn't have hair look a lot more natural, but don't take that dark color and put it all the way through, if that makes sense. So once you have just gently filled it in, you don't need to fill it in completely. This is not like a project with a marker that you need to completely fill in. Another reason why I like this product is it's super tiny, it's super skinny. So what you can do at the front of your brow is create tiny brow hairs if you want, and they look really feathered and natural, but that's a personal preference. So after I've done this much, and I kind of have my brow where I like it, usually that's kind of the end of it. But sometimes maybe you made a mistake, maybe you applied a little bit too much product and you're not quite happy with it. That's where the spoolie end comes in. So the spoolie acts as a blending brush for brow hairs and brow products. Also, if you're doing facial hair, you can use the same kind of technique. If you're doing like patchy, like facial hair or mustaches or like anything like that, it works just the same. So you can take this brush and gently go through, and it blends it out a little bit and makes it look a little bit more natural. Now, when you do your eyebrows in your entire makeup routine is up to you. If you want a really carved out look, a lot of people choose to do it at the very beginning where they use their concealer or their foundation color and they really carve out that look before, like around doing their eyebrows before they do the rest of their face. And they'll do their eyes at the same time. Some people, like myself, I like to do the whole face and then I'll do the eyes and the eyebrows, kind of last because I like the eyebrows to fit with the rest of the face. And sometimes I find out I find that carving out brows makes them look a little bit like just like they don't, it's not as seamless to me. But I've seen it all different kinds of ways, so not a judgment call, just a preference. So this is what this brow looks like with the pencil. And again, this is the ash brown color. And like I said, I have almost black hair. So when my hair is its natural color, this is the color that I would wear. And it being ash brown, a lot of people would think that I would use something like dark brown or black or, espresso or something like that. But ash brown is actually the color that I find works for most people. If they have very dark hair or darker skin, I'll use maybe a step or two down in color, but rarely am I I'm not going to grab a black eyebrow pencil, hardly ever. So on the other brow, I'm going to show you how I would do it with powder. So I'm going to use a similar color that I would use with the ash brown. So for me, that's probably going to be one of these two colors, maybe this color. And I'm going to be using this Morphe brush. It came in a kit, so it doesn't have a number on it, but it's an angled liner brush. You can find these in pretty much every brand that sells a brush. They're going to sell a brush that's almost identical to this. You can bend or unbend this, kind of just depending on preference. So we're going to go on this side and we're going to use powder and we're going to try to basically make the same colors of this side. So I'm going to use the Naked 2 Urban Decay. It's Urban Decay's Naked 2 Basics palette. And it didn't come with the stars. I just had some glitter that fell on it and stuck to it. But it just has a bunch of tones like this that are the neutral, kind of on the cooler side. And so shadows are cool. Like that's an important note. The only time I very rarely use like a warm tone in the eyebrow. The only time I do it is if someone is warm tone in their skin and then it makes sense with their hair. So like because I do pull pretty warm, and if my hair is red or something like that, I might use a slightly more warm tone and like an auburn pencil, but that's not often. I have the pencil and the products, but I don't use them often because again, we're doing like the shadow of the hair, and the shadow is going to be a cool tone. Shadows are cool. So what you do is you're going to get the product on your brush. So I like to kind of just like lay it down like that. And then you're going to tap off any excess because again, you don't need a lot of product. And we're going to do the same kind of method. Now, I want to note that not everybody is suited for an arched brow. Not everybody's face and facial features are suited for that. Some people like their brow, it looks better when it's a little straighter. Some people actually look better when it's slightly curved. So if you do that, if you have a more curved brow where this type of arch doesn't really suit your features, instead of splitting up this bottom line, just go ahead and do this in one swoop, and then you can do a little bit. We can split this top into two parts, but having that bottom be a little bit more rounded does suit people. It's I would say maybe 20% of the brows that I did my entire time waxing, that was the shape that suited them. So it's not terribly uncommon. So if you're finding that this just kind of looks weird on you, maybe try slightly rounding out your brow and see if you like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So slightly back up to the arch. Just like that. Now, my natural brows, this brow does have a higher arch. So sometimes once I've done something like this, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to adjust it. So, I mean, if you don't have anything on your face, it's really easy to just kind of take a little bit off, just soften the edge a little bit, and boom, there you go. If you do have other makeup on, it's still a relatively easy fix, but just kind of knowing your face a little bit. Like for me, I know one of my eyes is higher than the other, one of my eyebrows is higher than the other, and that's okay. It's just what my face looks like. So some people try to counterbalance that, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how much I decide to care that day. So I'm still going to take this lighter color on the end of my brow, knowing that I'm going to have to use the darker color just so I can show you how I adjust. So I'm going at the bottom of my arch, creating that line. Top of the arch. And again, I have to kind of smooth out. I can't, um, that peak is much higher naturally for me. So what I can do to adjust for that is I can just go in and try to do it in the laptop. I can just create this like artificial like point where my brow hairs don't actually naturally sit and just create it like that. So it just takes some practice in getting to know your brows. I'm going to adjust the tail of my brow just a little bit so you can see. So they look a little bit different, but also we haven't filled in right here. Now, they say you want to, I mean, there's a lot of different theories about how your brow, like when your brow should start. A lot of people say it should line up with the like edge of your nose or like your like depending on your eye socket, anything like that. I find that every face is different and I just can't find a rule that fits with everyone. So with just the remnants of the product on my brush, I'm just filling in gently and with feathery strokes the end the inside of my brow. Just like that. So see how this is like a little bit sharper because, and I can go in and blend that more. So it's less sharp. It's all about preference. There's no rules in makeup. So this is how you can do it. Now, if I wanted to add a little bit more dark to the end of the brow just to even out, it doesn't look as obvious on camera, but in person you can kind of see that this is empty or it's just like it's showing up as a different color than the rest of my brow. So in this palette, I use this and then there's this really darker, it's much darker color. So I'm going to mix them a little bit where I'm just going to take a lot of this and a little bit of this so that I can create a slightly darker color. I'm not going for crazy dark. I'm just going for a little bit darker. And I'll tap off any excess and then I'll also just tap on my hand to make sure that's the color I want. And I'm just kind of gently placing it in there. I'm not doing a whole lot. So just anywhere where it needs so just that little extra like punch of color, and then it evens out the whole thing. So using two colors helps, and that's why you'll often see brow powders come in like duos, and it'll have like a lighter color and then a darker color. Because if you have like patchy or anything like that brows, you can use it like that as well. So that is how I do that brow when I'm using uh, pencils. And again, just like with the pencil, you can go in and blend and lighten up anything you want using that spoolie end. And that is how I do brows. So I know that brows take some time to feel more comfortable with. For me, if I were recommending products to a beginner, um, I would suggest either the powder or the pencil. And getting that color right is a huge, huge deal. So think again about like, we want something that is lighter than our hair generally. Now, if you're blonde, then you kind of have to think about, well, you want something like if you're a really light blonde, especially, you want something darker than your hair, but not. So like that's usually where like an ash blonde, or not an ash blonde, usually with blondes, I use a taupe pencil. Um, that's the color that is in both the Brow Wiz and the Micro Brow. And then there are a ton of powders out there as well. So you can use a pencil. Pencils are, sorry, pencil. This is a brush. You can use powders. They're very easy to manipulate. And if you mess up and you don't like them, they're very easy to just kind of like keep swiping away and kind of they go away. The pencil takes a little tiny bit more practice, but I find that the precision that this gives you is so nice that I really like it, and I find it a little bit easier to use. So this is my go-to, but when you're beginning, you might find that powders are a little bit easier to use. And I'm trying to think of any particular brands that I might recommend right now. And I can't, my brain is like, nope, nope, nope. Because I think that a lot of people are on the brow, like the pencil and the pomade kind of mindset right now. You can use something like this. You don't have to use something specifically for brows. Just you want to make sure that it is like in a cool tone. You don't want something that's overly warm, generally speaking, because that does kind of read really like red in your eyebrows, and it can look maybe like you intended it to look. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If I didn't explain anything clearly enough, just let me know and I'd be glad to go into further detail, or if I over explain things or anything, I'm happy to hear feedback. And this is like, I mean, I think it says a lot that I have yellow hair with like almost black roots, and I can wear a color called ash brown, and it suits me. So just keep that in mind. If you are not quite sure what color you should use or what product you should try, feel free to leave a comment and just describe kind of your hair color, your skin tone, or like anything that you think might help, and I would be happy to leave a recommendation for you. Because this is all about like that. I want this channel to be all about empowering you to be able to do your own makeup, because I love doing other people's makeup, but I also love when other people love doing their own makeup. So I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.